That's right, bitches, you know who it is. It's Ray Halbert, and today we're going to be taking a look at Goths by Mountain Goats. The Mountain Goats are a folk rock band that are pretty much the solo musical outlet for singer-songwriter John Darnielle. He's been recording under this name for fucking 20 years now, easily. Hold on. 1994 was their first album, so 23 years now he's been putting albums out under this name. They didn't really get all that much recognition on a wider scale until 2002's Tallahassee, which is an excellent album, I think. No, that's Throbbing Gristle. Anyway, Tallahassee, excellent album. You should all listen to it. Great lyrics, which is where people, I think, first started to notice, hey, this John Darnielle guy, he was a pretty good fucking lyricist. We need to pay more attention to him. This album has a sort of different theme than the others. The Mountain Goats have always had this very driving folk rock sound to them. I mean, they do slow stuff too, of course, but they've mostly been known for a very driving folk rock sound. But on this album, since it is about the goth subculture, sort of a tribute to the goth subculture, and a comment on it in a way. We'll talk about that later. And goth is pretty much a sadder, slower cousin of punk, which is a rhythm-based genre. Goth is a rhythm-based genre. So John was like, "Fuck it, let's get rid of the guitars completely, focus solely on rhythm," and they do. And I gotta be honest, it doesn't make for a whole wide array of interesting instrumental arrangements on this thing. Rain in Soho, which is pretty much the only song on here you can say is a real goth album. It's just got this booming bass drum line throughout the whole thing, and these choral backing vocals behind. It sounds like something that could be a deep track off of a Cure album. So that one's pretty goth, and it's interesting. It's a genre piece, but it's played off really well. But for the most part, not really. I don't really come out of this remembering a ton of the instrumental arrangements. But that could also be because the stories told on this album stick out so strongly. Like the second track, after Rain in Soho, Andrew Eldritch is moving back to Leeds, is about a guy named Andrew Eldritch moving back to Leeds. You could say self-explanatory song titles are the secondary theme of this album. So yeah, he's this guy named Andrew Eldritch who I guess tried to start a goth band. That's kind of what I got out of it. But they didn't really do too well, so he has to move back to his old hometown to try to get a real job. And when he goes back to his old hometown, he meets with a bunch of old friends and people he grew up with, and sees that their lives haven't really moved that far either, you know? So it's sort of a sad statement on the difficulties that you can experience in life sometimes. And it's really affecting. It really sticks with you. I really... That's one of the ones I came out of my first listen of this thing really remembering. Another is We Do It on the West Coast, which is about a guy who I think is contemplating becoming goth, and he's hearing about all the places where goth is becoming big, like Berlin, it was big there, other places in Europe, Chicago, I think he mentions, and some other smaller, like... Not small, Chicago's fucking huge. But some other places in America where it's becoming big. And he's like contemplating getting into it. And the hook, I guess he's a West Coast guy, because the hook is, we do it different on the West Coast. So that one was good. I liked that one. It was sort of a lighter offering than Andrew Eldritch, but still very well written. Wear Black is about wearing black. But also good lyrics. Paid in Cocaine I didn't like. I can't tell you offhand why I didn't like it. I should probably keep notes. Like I said, the instrumentals don't really carry the songs, so if the lyrics on this one aren't strong, you're gonna come out of the songs not thinking, wow, that was a shitty song, but sort of thinking, eh. But fortunately, most of the stories told here are great. Abandoned Flesh, the closing track, is my favorite, so let's just get to that one. Abandoned Flesh uses the story of the band Gene Loves Jezebel, which was sort of like the goth oasis in the 80s. The goth version of the band Oasis. Not like an oasis for goth. It was a band. Gene Loves Jezebel, led by two brothers who didn't always get along very well. And that they eventually split up because of the sibling rivalry. And even though they had a couple of hits that did relatively well, John Darnielle uses their eventual demise as a way sort of to comment on Goth's death. And just like the members of the band of Gene Loves Jezebel had to move on once it sort of fell, it sort of alludes to how Goths had to move on after it fell and get real jobs, stop hanging around listening to goth bands all day, and, grow up. So the album is sort of like growing up out of trends and, moving on with your life, but also having a very nostalgic heart for the things that you loved as in your youth. So it's sort of a piece, it's sort of like about nostalgia, which would make a lot of sense, because John Darnielle himself, he's getting up there in years, is what I meant to say. And, so it would be a time where he would start to reflect on his life, and, that really carries through into the album, and it makes it, even though it's not their catchiest, or their most interesting instrumentally, it makes it still a very affecting album, worth revisiting and re-listening to. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7 out of 10. If you've listened to this album, and you want to tell me what you thought about it, you can tell me in a comment down below. There's a little box, you click in it, and you write what you want to write, and then you click submit, or send, or whatever it says when you want to send it. I haven't left a YouTube comment in a while. If you like my videos, and you want to see more of them, and you want your phone to make a noise when I release one, then you can hit the subscribe button, and that'll happen forever. So, do that if you want that. But in any case, I'm leaving now. So, peace.